Hello everybody, my name is Ilya.
And my name is Tyler. Together we make up Kovray, a couple that loves to play board games.
Have you deduced that?
I hope so, because they would be watching our videos.
There's board games behind us. This is a board game channel. You've deduced it.
I said we love board games too. All the information you need is there to solve the answer.
That's an easy one.
Which one?
That we like board games. What's a tougher one?
We like board games.
Tyler likes otters. Did you deduce that?
Did you deduce that?
Bam! Otter in the corner.
There's one right there, yeah.
Well, we love board games and we love game nights. And we also love...
deduction games. Or logic puzzles, as one would like to put it.
What is that? What is a deduction or logic puzzle?
Basically, when you're given a bunch of information or you provide somebody with information to try and figure out exactly what's going on or like solve your puzzle that you're trying to solve, that is how I would define deduction.
The one that always comes to my head is, remember there's these like people that wear hats and they're all like standing in a ladder and there's one behind a wall and you have to like from this perspective deduce if you're wearing a hat or not. I forget what it is, but I'll put up a little graphic of it. But I always think of that because it's a really clever logic like riddle.
Interesting. I don't think I've ever heard of it.
Do you want to see it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. As we love deduction games, how much do we love them?
This much. That's a lot. Oh. That's so much.
How much do you love paladins?
This much. Exponentially.
It's just a growth. The more you think about it, the more it grows. Interesting. Well, because we love deduction games, we thought we'd do a deduction extravaganza.
Wow!
And what that means is we're going to have 3 game nights we're going to talk about that are themed in deduction games. Now,
hang on. They're not themed in deduction games. They are deduction games, but they've got a theme to them, so you can bring them to a specific game night kind of thing.
That's true.
Yeah.
What I was gonna say, just about to say, is that just because they're deduction doesn't mean there's other like similar mechanics or themes within those. So we'll hopefully by the end of this video find a deduction game that suits your desires.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe. Who knows?
So we're going to talk about each of these game nights and the games in them. We're going to give you a brief overview of the games and what they entail and kind of give you a bit of a thought of who might enjoy these types of games.
Exactly.
So if you're planning a game night for your friends who also like deductions, this may be a helpful video. Well, let's kick it off. Picture this. You're walking through a beautiful garden. There's hedges that are trimmed so nicely.
And then a queen decides that she wants to chase you around and try to cut your head off because you're not doing it right. That introduces our first theme. Gardens.
Gardens?
Boom.
Boom indeed.
So here we have Paint the Roses and Gardeners.
So let's talk about both of them.
Starting with Gardeners, I suppose.
So Gardeners is an upcoming release from Sit Down. It's designed by Casper Lappin. Basically, in this game, you'll be trying to deduce the rules of this game.
The rules of the garden that you have in front of you.
Exactly. Yes. So one by one you'll draw rule cards and you'll try to resolve and build a garden that fulfills those rules. Mm-hmm. Now as the game progresses, more rule cards will be drawn to a point where 3 of you may have a rule card. So there can be 3 rules in play, but you know a little bit about the rules, but you don't know the specifics besides your own. So you're trying to build gardens, and as soon as you meet the conditions in real time, one of the rule cards gets discarded and a new one gets drawn. So you continue building as many gardens as you possibly can in order to be successful in the 15-minute time frame.
Yeah, it is like a single garden, so you've got like all these tiles that you need to basically take out and give to other people so that they can place them properly, and then by who you give them to, by what you take out, people are able to kind of deduce what your rules might be, and that's how you want to try and succeed.
It's a silent deduction game, so you can't talk, but those actions, like Tyler's saying, giving the tiles, is what really will set you up for success. So if you're someone who really enjoys real-time games, cooperative deduction type of games, I think Gardeners may win you over.
Yeah, I think this theme night in general will win you over if you're a cooperative board gamer. The other thing about Gardeners is that it is like a strict time limit, so you know that you've only got 15 minutes. There's a goal thing in the rule book that'll explain, like, if you completed this goal, these number of goals, then you're at this level, and it does kind of drive like the I need to do better kind of mentality, so that's a lot of fun.
It's a really good warm-up game, especially if everyone already knows how to play. You put that timer on 50 minutes, get you warmed up for your game night.
Yeah.
Now how about Paint the Roses?
Paint the Roses is a North Star Games, or published by North Star Games. It's designed by Ben Goldman, and it is an Alice in Wonderland themed game where you're basically just trying to make the queen happy by properly placing hedges. And you'll do this through these goal cards again, but they're ranging from like easy, medium, and hard. And essentially there are certain rules that stick with those difficulties, and you will place a tile in the garden to indicate your, I guess, to take your turn, and then from that, other players will place their tiles. You'll be able to deduce certain things based on how people have placed their little cubes, and from that point, you'll have to guess one of the cards that is out there, because if you don't, or if you guess incorrectly, the queen will get closer and closer to you, and you'll get your head chopped off.
You don't want to get your head chopped off. What's really cool about this game is the whole board, the queen just chases you around the board. And it's really interesting because as you get further, she gets faster, and all you're really trying to do is build a beautiful garden for her. Which, when you succeed, if you succeed, feels really, really good. And if you don't know about it because your head's chopped off.
Yeah. So this is a great step up from Gardeners and a good next game to play in your theme night, because it takes very similar deduction logic from what Gardeners is doing, and then amplifies it in Paint the Roses and makes it a little, you don't have to worry about the time piece, but you do have to worry about the turn piece and which puzzles you end up taking. The cool thing about this is it's very expansive. You can add new characters to it that spice the game up. There are a nice little logic puzzle sheet that you can use for yourself to help figure out certain things. And overall, you're working together to try and figure it out.
I really like the hard clues. They're fun to deduce.
Yes.
And that's your Gardeners. Garden. Building beautiful garden theme.
Exactly.
Cooperative. Now up next, the theme here is kind of like a decoding, true logic puzzle, very much of this can't be next to this, etc., etc. And there's 3 games here, and we're going to talk about them in kind of time intervals. So you like the appetizer game, a little bit longer, and so on and so on.
Yes.
But let's bring them in here. What a fun game night.
Wow.
So we'll start with Break the Cube, then go to Turing Machine, and then end with Search for Planet X.
So all of these games are competitive. If you're looking for a more competitive logic puzzle type game night, then this is definitely what we would recommend you checking out. So you can start the night with Break the Cube, and essentially what this is it gives you vibes of Battleship, is what I like to compare it to. But what you're trying to do is everybody has 3 of these cubes or these pieces that they get to put behind their little hidden board. In essence, basically around a cube, but you will make your own little shape, hide it, and you want to try and guess the person's shape to your left, which is very exciting because when it comes to your turn, you're allowed to ask a variety of different questions, and then those, based on the answers that you get, everybody around the table has to give those answers, and kind of based on what your answers are given, you'll be able to deduce what that shape that they're hiding from you might be.
It's really interesting because there's 3 types of questions, and one will only benefit you. So you can ask, what's the top view? What's the color that you see at the top? Looking at one of the ways. But if you ask one of the directions, everybody has to answer it. So it gives more and more information, and at the same time, in front of your shield, you're trying to build and deduce the cube, because the last question is my answer correct?
Yeah, exactly.
And this is a really fun, I feel like we've played this 2-player so many times.
It's actually probably my favorite at 2-player.
I think so too, because you're just trying to figure out each other's cube and do it the fastest way possible. And it's the only restriction to building it is you have to stay within that cube, and it has to be at least 2 layers.
Yep.
So you can't just lay everything flat. And it's always interesting. Sometimes it's very obvious and you can't get it. Sometimes you try to trick the other person. And it's that true essence logic puzzle where you're trying to really figure out what is the best way or what is the arrangement of this cube.
Yeah.
And then you break it.
And then it also is like a race. So whoever gets it first is obviously declared the winner. But it is like usually pretty tight. It's like 1 or 2 turns away kind of thing, and it's always fun to just like let everybody keep going so that they can guess it, because we already know that the game is so close, or at least from our experience. Everybody gets a shot at kind of guessing what the shape might be.
It's a lot of fun. Now, the next step up, so that one takes about 15 minutes to play. It's really quickly. Now, the next one we'll talk about is Turing Machine, which I think is also 15 to half an hour type of game.
Oh yeah.
Depending how many rounds you play, depending what you do. But in essence, what this game is there is a tabletop computer that you're going to talk to try to deduce your 3-digit number that can only be 1, 2, 3, or 5.
Yes.
So there's no 7, 8, 9s in there.
1, 2, 3. Oh.
4 or 5.
Oh, I thought you said or 5. I was like, whoa.
4. Maybe I said and 5. I don't know.
1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
And 5. So there's 5 possibilities for each of the hundreds, tens, and ones. And basically what you'll do is there is variety of puzzles within the box, but there's also limitless of puzzles online that you can access, and we've loved doing the daily puzzle for this.
Yeah. So essentially what every single card is that you're testing against is a logic rule, and you test that logic rule against your numbers or your combination of numbers, and then from that you're able to deduce whether or not it is or is not. And based on whether you find out whether it is, that's great because it makes it a little bit easier, but also finding out if it's not at least axes out one of the options for it.
And it's really cool because you stack all your numbers together and you'll have a little hole that you'll place against the key, and then that's how the key is scored. So the design of this game is brilliant. It's really fun, and it's so cool that there's essentially limitless puzzles.
Yeah.
It's one that we've also played many times, just casually put out, because you can play this game in 10 minutes, 15 minutes if you know how everything's played.
Yeah, the setup is a little bit tedious, but that's okay because it's just you can kind of just like leave it there and grab the puzzles as you see fit. But the thing about this game is it is, again, like Break the Cube, it's a race. Each round you get 3 different guesses or 3 different questions you can test against, and then everybody's able to change their numbers. Once you've decided whether or not you're going to change your number, you have to do like a 1, 2, 3 check mark, no mark.
No mark.
To see if anybody has kind of figured out what the set of numbers could be, and if they haven't, you keep going. But the thing is again, like Break the Cube, this game is pretty tight, so the way that you get ahead is by maybe not utilizing all 3 questions, because at the end of the game, whoever successfully gets their number, if there is a tie in the round, it's the person who used the least number of questions. So
ask your questions wisely.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, speaking of continuing to race for the answer first, I feel like we have a theme going on here, because that is what you do in Search for Planet X as well. So in this one, basically what you'll do is you'll try to locate Planet X.
Exactly.
There's many different spots on the board that it can be, and based on where all the other things are, such as asteroids, space gas.
Space gas clouds?
The gas clouds. Space gas.
Oof.
Well, it's a little cloud. It's
Dwarf planets is the other one.
Dwarf planets.
There are a lot of things that there could be.
Exactly. So there's logic conditions for each of those things, and as you begin to find out where some of those things are, you'll deduce where Planet X is.
Yeah.
If you're the first to do so, you'll win, and you'll basically do the same thing. You're racing, asking the right questions to an app. So this one is an app-based game.
Yeah, we'll just take a step back there. It's an app-driven game where everybody starts off differently. So you'll be given certain specifications for your board, which you'll be able to write down on this like very, very well done piece of paper, where you can understand like what's going on based on the knowledge that you have. And then from there you get to select a bunch of different questions, and set up a different bunch of different rules that are available to everybody, but it does depend. You can pick differently based on what you're already given, what you know other people have already picked, and the way that the sheet is set up is you can conveniently keep track of what everybody else is doing, or you can actually just play it very solitaire and use it so that you're just the one figuring out your own little puzzle. At the end of the day, you'll get a chance to take out a guess at where Planet X is, and when you get it right, or if you don't get it right, there are certain things that happen. The unique thing about this is that every time you take out a logic condition or use a turn, for example, you are exhausting a certain amount of hours. And for those hours that you exhaust, you'll move ahead based on those spaces, and you then have to, your next turn won't be until your
the very last
comes
one.
up.
Yeah.
So you want to be careful when you're using them. Again, this becomes this tight tug and pull race where you want to be the fastest done, but asking the obvious questions aren't necessarily going to be as valuable for you.
So basically, questions that give you more information will cost you more hours, while questions that give you less information cost you less hours. So you can maybe take 3 turns in a row if you ask simple questions that may not give you all the information. But if you want more information, you're gonna have to wait.
There are times when it's great to do confirmation checks just to see if you're on the right path, and there are other times where just having the next logic puzzle set will help you push forward to understand the whole entire galaxy.
What's really cool with this one too is there's a limited amount of solutions because it's app driven, so it's always going to be different. The answer is always going to be different, and it's just really fun to play and to see, and the game on the board, and even seeing all the predictions you can make, because you can make predictions, which is give you points at the end of the game, and essentially there's just a lot to love about this game. And there's a search for lost species coming soon, which is really exciting because it's basically a similar game but nature themed.
So keep your eye out for that one, but this is our basically competitive logic puzzle race theme
First
night.
to finish.
Yeah, that we would suggest those logic puzzle lovers out there to check out.
Exactly. Okay, time for our last game night. So the theme for this game night is
Escape.
Evasion.
Evasion. Escape, evasion, you know, that kind of stuff.
And the games are
Upside down. Just kidding. No. The other thing that I'll add to this before we even mention what the games are is that this is like a high player count game night as well, because both of these games can play up to 6 players.
This one's 5.
5? Oh, 5
5
players.
and 6.
5 and 6. 5
so
6.
high player count, evasion, deduction. Let's do this.
So we'll start the night off with Kazuka, which is this cool little hand management game where you're able to try, or I guess the theme around this is you want to escape the zoo. And each of you will be given a unique character that you're able to play that has a very unique ability that you can use throughout the rounds. What you'll do is you'll place different meeples onto the board to give your fellow team members some information about what might be in your hand, or the assumptions that you're able to make based on what everybody else is doing. You want to try and basically discard the right number of cards in your hand based on the color that you end on, and essentially that's the game. You'll work yourself through these rounds. If every time you're successful, you'll get more points. You'll work towards being able to have more cards in your hand, have more cards accessible through a global area that you can all use, and the game just progressively gets more intense and intense as you go, because you do have a limited amount of turns to escape the zoo.
Yeah, and what you want is tools. So once you have a certain amount of tools, you can leave.
Yeah.
And what's really funny is when we first played this game, we accidentally played it on the advanced mode, and the advanced mode is hard.
It's hard. Yeah.
It's not like after we played on the other side, we're like, well, the other side just feels like a piece of cake now because we were so skilled in advanced thinking.
Well, we did
not win.
Our brains.
We did not win the advanced mode, but we were close a couple of times. Yeah. But it's really interesting because it is really much of you're stuck or you're tied between 2 different places where you give information to what you have, and all of a sudden you're trying to deduce what we all have. And that twist is a really fun element on that deduction. And with the variable powers, with the fun theme, Kazuka is definitely a joy at the table.
Exactly. And it's cooperative, like we kind of said, so it does progressively become more of this like social deducing game where you're, again, trying to decide what is in everybody's hand instead of just your own, and giving the appropriate hints, being able to work with your team to be able to do that, definitely are things that shine in this game. But once you're done playing this game and you've given it a shot, you can try your hand at mind management, which is kind of a similar game to Kazuka, where you are trying to escape, except it's a 1v everybody else. And you want to basically have one player who is trying to escape from everybody and move through the map in secrecy. And everybody else is kind of working together to try and figure out where you are, where you have been, what you might be doing. And it's very interesting to see all of those things kind of grow and build up as you play through the game.
What I love about this game is the sheer amount of detail that's gone into it. There's little Easter eggs on the box, in the cover, on the insert. There's so many little things you can pay attention to, and it really embodies that espionage theme. And it's really fun because you're essentially trying to escape the people, and everyone's out loud talking. Well, maybe they went this way. We need to check over here. And as your agents close in to try to find the shadowy figure, sometimes you'll win, sometimes you won't, but it's really fun, and there's a lot of modules in this game, there's a lot of layers in this game. So similar, there's a way to level it up and keep playing it and just have a really joyous time.
Exactly, yeah.
I love evading the shadows.
Evade the shadows.
So if you're into escaping, if you're into evading, these two may be worth pairing into a game night. Kind of have it be a cozy animal theme, let's escape the zoo everybody, and then spies. And that's been our 3 game nights.
3 game nights.
With many a deduction games. Did one catch your eye?
Did one game in particular catch your eye? Or was it just a theme in general that caught your eye? Let us know.
In the comments down below.
What are some other logic puzzle games that you really enjoy? Also feel free to let us know down below. But other than that, those are the game nights that we kind of suggest if you're looking for some more logic deduction puzzle type games and want to have a theme night around it.
And that's our question of the day too. What is that logic game that you enjoy? Maybe what's a logic puzzle that you really enjoy? Maybe it's like that hat, the white and black hat type of deal. But what is out there that you want to check out? And thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed our content, you know what to do.
Hit that thumbs up button. If you're new here as well, please hit that subscribe button. We love making board game content, and we love building community.
We sure do. Thank you so much for watching, and have an amazing rest of your day.
Bye!